my dear students, how are you all feeling today? I hope all of you are well and good. So it's been a week since we met, right? Your last class was a week back. So do you remember what we studied? Obviously you'll remember, you all are good children, right? So what was our chapter name? It was the Caskets of Life, right? So just let's recall what we learned. Just briefly, we learned about microorganisms. And what were microorganisms? Microorganisms are organisms that we cannot see with our naked eyes, right? Now, then what did we learn? Do you remember? Did we only learn about microorganisms? We learned about cells, which is the structural and fundamental units of life. Isn't it so? Then we learned that cells are of various types. We just gave an introduction to what there are so many types and varieties of cells. And then we finished the class. So today we will begin with the different types of cells and the different types of cells in our body, and also we'll give a brief introduction to animal cell and plant cell and the difference between them. So are you ready? Are you all ready? Okay, so shall we begin? Yes. So last class I told you there are wide varieties of cells and we saw them. The smallest cell was called the mycoplasma and the biggest cell, the ostrich egg. Isn't it so? You remember that, right? Similarly, our body is also made up of cells. The fundamental and structural unit of life is cell, right? But do we have only one variety of cell in our body? Do you think so? We have different types of cells. We have the nerve cells, we have the muscle cells, we have the RBCs, red blood cells, WBCs, white blood cells, and so on. We have a lot of them in our body, and each cell has a different structure. But the components are same, and we'll learn about the components towards the end of the class. We'll just give an introduction to it, and we'll learn in more detail about it in the next class. Okay? So let's start reading. Different types of cells. Is the shape of all cells of a human body the same as that of the cheek cell? We observed our cheek cell last week, right? Miss showed you an activity, do you remember? And we saw the cheek cell. Do you think that all other cells, I told you there are different types of cells in our body, right? So will it be as the same of the cheek cell? No. It will be different, isn't it so? Again, there is an activity given. Okay, what does it say? Take the slide of blood cells from the school lab and observe it through a microscope. Is the shape of the cells similar to the cheek cells which we observed earlier? So here they are saying in our school lab there will be a slide with, you got the slide right, last activity we saw they took a rectangular shaped glass piece, that is called a slide. There will be a already made one with the blood cells, okay? We have to observe it through the microscope. The cheek cells had an irregular pattern, okay? And the red blood cells have a round flat shape. Can you see in the text page below? Identify the cells given below and write them down, right? The first one over there is the red blood cells. That is how our blood looks when we look through a microscope. Is it clear? So the first one, did you see the round shape? Those are the RBCs or the red blood cells. And the next one is the cell we observed last week. Which was it? It was the cheek cell, right? So the first one is RBC, red blood cells, and the second one is the cheek cell. Okay, dear students, is it clear? So can I ask you another question? Will there be different types of cells in all kinds of organisms? Will it be there? What are the types of organisms we learned? There were two types. They were the unicellular and the multicellular organisms, right? And do you think there will be different types of cells in unicellular? No, right? Why? Because unicellular means it is made up of one cell. And that one cell cannot be different. It is just one cell. So there are different types of cells for multicellular organisms. Here in the picture, we have the muscle cell and the neuron. Isn't it so? So, what does these cells do? It is the functional and structural unit of life, right? So, Miss will explain a small example. You want to take something or you want to pick something from a table. Okay? I have a book here on my table. Can you see this book? Okay. So what happens is, when I feel that I want to take a book, my brain receives a message through the neuron and my muscle cells act. It is linked. All the cells are interlinked and it gives a message to my muscle cells and my muscle cells acts to take the book. Is it clear? And this touch is again sensed by the neuron, that is the nerve cells. Is it clear? So from the brain a message is passed and then the muscle cells act to take the book and this touch is again identified by the neuron. And this all acts in a seconds of time. Does it take so much of time once you think you have to take the book? You just keep on thinking, I have to take the book. No, right? When you feel you have to take the book, your hand just goes immediately and take it. It happens in fraction of seconds. Is that clear? So that is why it is called the functional and structural unit of life. Structural unit of life because we are made up of cells. Functional unit because each cell performs a different function and all those functions which are very necessary to us. Clear? Now, Miss told you, the cell is like a brick of a house. We keep bricks and build a house, isn't it so? So similarly, so what will be inside the brick? That is some sort of curiosity, right? Similarly, inside the cell also we have a lot of components. We are not learning so much in detail. You will learn it in the higher classes, but we will learn some of the components of a cell. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, inside the cell. Now we have learned about different kinds of cells. There are certain components, common components in all cells. Examine the figure of the animal cell and note down the parts of the cell in your science diary. So can you use the science diary is your science notebook, dear children. Don't mistake it for something else. Can you see the picture of this animal cell? You can see an outer cover, you can see it is filled with something, then inside you are finding again a small round and so many things around it. The outermost covering is called the cell membrane. It's called the cell membrane. Okay? And the inside part which is covered, which is shaded here, is called the cytoplasm. What is it called? It is called the cytoplasm. Is it clear, dear children? And the round inside is called the nucleus. It is called the nucleus. Then you might be wondering, what are the things outside? Isn't it so? That you will be learning in the higher classes. Miss will just say the names. It is not for you to learn. It is mitochondria, lysosomes, adenosine triphosphate. There are so many things inside a cell that helps it for the energy of our body. There is some components in the cell. So there are much more to learn, but now we are just learning a brief, right? Now we can look at the box. Nucleus, cytoplasm, cell membrane, etc. are some of the important parts of the cell. Nucleus is the center of the cells. You saw, right? Nucleus is in the center of the cell. Cell membrane is the covering of the cell. If the cell has a clear outer covering, that is called the cell membrane of the cell. Now, the matrix filled inside, that is, matrix is a fluid that is filled inside the cell membrane. Inside the cell membrane, there is a fluid which is called the cytoplasm. What is it called? The cytoplasm. So, what are the important parts of an animal cell? It is the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. Okay. Now again, there is an activity. Draw the following figures in your science diary and label the parts. Which are the two cells given here? The given cells are white blood cells, or the WBCs, and the cheek cell. Right. So we are going to label them. How do we label them? It's quite simple. Miss will tell the three parts which you have to label. We learned it previously, so you have to write it down. Okay. The outermost covering is called the cell membrane, and the whole inside and the inside part, middle part of the cell is called the nucleus, and the matrix or the fluid filled inside the cell membrane is called the cytoplasm. Now we have identified that animal body is made up of different kinds of cells, isn't it so? So then what about the plants? Does plants also have cells? Obviously plants have cells because they are living things, isn't it so? And cell is the fundamental unit of every living thing. So now let's learn that. The plant body. Let us examine a part of a plant. Now what part of a plant are we gonna experiment with? We are going to do it with the onion peel. Peel means the outer covering of the onion. Clear? So what is the activity? Observe the onion peel through a microscope. Draw the outline of the shape you have observed in your science diary. So is it possible for us to do it now at our house? No. But Miss will show you the experiment. But before that, in the side we have the method of preparing slide. Let us just read that so it becomes more clear to you. Okay. Remove the dry outer layers of the onion, which is the cover of the onion. Then peel off a thin layer from the fleshy part. Fleshy part is what we use for cooking. Keep this in water with a watch glass. After staining, that is, for stain we can use saffron and many other things in it. Place a small portion on a slide by using a brush and cover it with the watch glass. This is what we are going to do. So now, are you ready to watch the experiment? You all love doing experiments, isn't it so? It is a part of learning science. So then let's go watch the experiment and come back. Alright?
Onion peel. To do the experiment we require cover slip, glycerine, glass slides, onion, watch glasses, distilled water, saffron in solution, forceps, brush, needle, compound microscope, blotting paper. Procedure. Take some distilled water using a dropper and put it in a watch glass. Take half a piece of onion from the watch glass and remove a leaf from the onion piece. Remove a piece of transparent onion peel with the forceps. Put the epidermis into the watch glass containing water. Take some saffron in solution using a dropper. Put a few drops of saffron in solution into another watch glass. Using a brush, transfer the peel into a watch glass containing saffron in solution. Keep the epidermis for 30 seconds in saffron in solution so the peel can become stained. Using the brush, take the peel from the saffron in solution and put it into the watch glass containing distilled water. Using a dropper, take some glycerine and put 2 to 3 drops of glycerine in the middle of a dry glass slide. Using the brush, transfer the peel to the slide containing glycerine. Take a cover slip and place it gently on the peel with the help of a needle. Remove the extra glycerine using a blotting paper. View the slide under the compound microscope. Observations. A large number of regularly shaped cells are lying side by side. Each cell has a distinct cell wall. A distinct nucleus is present on the periphery of each cell. Lightly stained cytoplasm is observed in each cell. A large vacuole is present in the center of each cell, surrounded by the cytoplasm. Conclusion. All cell walls and large vacuoles are clearly observed in all cells, and the cells in the observations are plant.
So there is diversity in plant cells too. You watched the experiment, isn't it so? Did you see the onion peel? When looked through a microscope, when you see with your naked eyes, we cannot see all this, right? So there is a picture of the cells of onion peel. You can draw it in your notebook. Clear? Now let's read further. Haven't you observed the guard cells in your lower classes? What is the guard cell? Do you remember? Do you remember when we learned about the stomata? What was the stomata? Stomata is an important part of a plant which helps in photosynthesis. How does it help in photosynthesis? It takes the carbon dioxide from the air and also removes excess water from the plants. Wasn't that stomata? Do you remember? You learned this in lower grades, right? And outside the stomata, have you seen two cells guarding it? They are known as the guard cells. So in the given picture, you can see other cells too, right? Not only guard cells. Now, are the guard cells, the other cells in the leaves and the cells in the onion peel same in shape and size? Is it the same, dear children? No, each cell is different, right? So can we move on further and check how they are different? Do you think there will be a difference between animal cell and plant cell? Both are multicellular organisms. But tell me, will there be a change between animal cell and plant cell? What do you say? Let us read further and know, is there a difference or not? Okay. So here we have two cells. One is the plant cell and the next is the animal cell, right? And there are so many parts labeled. Let's just go through them and we will learn about it in detail in the next class. Clear? So what is it given? The first one is a nucleus, right? Inside you can see a small round shaped thing that is called the nucleus. Then we have chloroplast. But is chloroplast present in both the cells? No. It is only present in the plants. But why? We will discuss it further. Then we have the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is there in both. We discussed earlier in animal cell and plant cell also. Then again comes the cell wall. What is the cell wall? We only learned about cell membrane in the animal cell. Plant cell has a special outer covering outside the cell membrane that is known as the cell wall, that is not present in the animal cell. Then we have the vacuole. What is it called? The vacuole. Okay. Can you see the white structure in the plant? That is known as the vacuole. Each component of the cell has its own duty. We will all discuss about this in the next class. Okay, Mrs. just briefing you. Okay, the plant cell has a bigger vacuole and the animal cell has a small vacuole. Okay, then we have the cell membrane which is present in both the animal cell and the plant cell. So here, what are the two things that is present in plant cell but not present or absent in the animal cell? Chloroplast and cell wall. Both are not present in the animal cell. They are only there for the plant cell, right? And which component is big in size for the plant cell? The vacuole. Animal cells have small vacuoles and plant cells have bigger vacuoles. Is it clear? So we will learn about this and we will write it down in the next class about the animal cell and plant cell. Okay, dear children? So my dear students, that was for today. It was a very small topic, isn't it so? But you have lots to learn. Be clear with whatever you learn, even if it is little. Make the concept clear. All right? So if you have any doubts, clear it with me. And if you like my class, let me know it down in the comment box below. Okay? So we will see in the next class in the next week. Till then, bye, take care and stay safe.